There was once a poodle who lived beneath the shimmering lights of competition. Her fur was brushed until it shone like silk. Her steps were trained to glide with elegance, her eyes glittering beneath the applause of strangers. But the world of trophies is cruel. Beauty fades, owners grow weary, and what was once adored can quickly be discarded. One rainy night, under the hollow shadows of tall buildings, she wandered alone. No ribbons adorned her neck. No hands reached to lift her onto a stage. She was just another forgotten figure, trembling, with fur matted and heavy from rain. People walked past without noticing, or worse, pushing her away. Yet even in her fragile body, even in her broken stance, there was something in her gaze. A flicker. A memory of grace. A silent cry for someone to see her, not as ruined, not as broken, but as worthy of love once again. This was not the end of her story. This was only the beginning. Once she was crowned with admiration. Once the world lifted her on pedestals of pride. Now dignity was stolen. Every step across the cold pavement felt like an insult to who she used to be. Hunger gnawed at her ribs, thirst cracked her tongue, and her body carried scars of neglect. The world did not pity. Children mocked her tangled fur, pointing and laughing. Adults scolded her, shooing her away as if her presence was a stain on their perfect streets. Each rejection sank deeper into her heart. The echo of clapping crowds still rang in her memory, but reality spat cruel truths. Applause does not last forever, and love that is shallow turns to ash. Yet she did not bite. She did not bark. She lowered her head, carrying her loss in silence. Her dignity might have been stripped, her elegance forgotten, but deep inside, a quiet ember remained. One that waited for the right breath of kindness to rise again. In her eyes lived a story untold. Though her fur was torn and her frame frail, her gaze carried something that refused to die. A reflection of who she once was. The echo of elegance, trapped beneath layers of despair. It was not arrogance, not vanity, but the memory of being cherished. That memory clung to her, whispering, "Do not give up." She lingered near alleys, curled beneath broken signs, sometimes staring at her reflection in rain puddles. And in those blurred images, she still recognized a piece of herself. Somewhere inside, a graceful spirit was waiting, trembling but alive. The city roared around her, blind and careless. But fate has a way of guiding hearts together. It was not the glow of trophies or the glamour of shows that would reveal her worth again. It would be the meeting of two souls, one broken by neglect, the other driven by compassion. On another cold evening, footsteps echoed down the deserted street. A volunteer, carrying bags of food for the strays, noticed the fragile shape crouched by the corner. At first glance, she looked like nothing but another stray. But then, he saw her eyes. They were not the eyes of defeat. They were the eyes of a soul begging to be remembered. He crouched low, careful not to frighten her. His voice was soft, almost like a lullaby carried on the wind. The poodle trembled, unsure, trapped between fear and longing. For a moment the world stilled, and time slowed to a heartbeat. In that fragile silence, two lives brushed against each other. One broken and abandoned, the other searching to give love where the world had failed. Their meeting was not loud or dramatic. It was a quiet collision of destinies, marked only by a look, a shared breath, and the promise of something more. Trust does not bloom in an instant. The rescuer placed food on the ground, then stepped back, giving her space. The aroma pulled her closer, paws hesitant, eyes darting with doubt. She sniffed, then ate, each bite carrying both relief and fear. The rescuer did not rush. He knelt patiently, his presence calm, his hand steady. Slowly, the poodle lifted her gaze. Their eyes met once again, and this time she did not look away. The rain had stopped, but the air still carried the scent of storm. For the first time in countless nights, she did not feel invisible. She felt seen. And in that fragile recognition, a spark of trust flickered. He extended his hand. She flinched, but curiosity won. Her nose touched his fingers, trembling, then lingered. It was not yet surrender, not yet safety, but it was the first step. A step toward healing. A step toward home. The car ride was quiet. She sat curled in a blanket, shivering, yet no longer alone. The rescuer brought her into a small clinic, where gentle hands trimmed her tangled fur, washed away dirt, and treated wounds hidden beneath the mess. Each touch was careful, every motion filled with respect, as though acknowledging her lost dignity. Water streamed down her body, carrying with it the weight of abandonment. With every stroke of the brush, her old self seemed to return. Not the show dog with ribbons, but the creature beneath, the one longing for care. The vet examined her patiently, whispering reassurance. For the first time in months, she felt warmth not from sunlight or fleeting applause, but from genuine kindness. Healing is not only mending wounds of the body, it is restoring what was stolen from the soul. And slowly, piece by piece, her soul began to rise again. Days turned into weeks. Each morning brought progress. The poodle began to walk with steadier steps, her fur softening into waves of cream, her eyes sparkling brighter. She no longer cowered at sudden noises. She played, timidly at first, then freely. In the garden she ran, ears flapping, joy spilling from every leap. The rescuer watched, smiling, each laugh a balm to her once broken spirit. Transformation is not a miracle that strikes overnight. It is patience, persistence, and love that refuse to abandon. What returned to her was not the stage-ready elegance she once displayed. It was something purer. Her beauty was no longer a costume, but a reflection of her healing heart. What the world once valued as surface, she now carried as truth. She was no longer just a poodle. She was a survivor, radiant not because of trophies, but because she had found her freedom. Night fell softly. Inside the rescuer's home, she curled beside him, her breathing calm, her body finally at peace. The bond between them grew in silence, in shared moments of presence. She followed him room to room, her eyes never leaving him. And when storms rumbled outside, she did not tremble alone. His hand rested on her back, steady, protective. Trust had taken root, deep and unshakable. She had once been surrounded by applause yet knew only emptiness. Now, with just one human, she found wholeness. A companionship richer than any trophy, stronger than any fleeting admiration. Their friendship was not built on perfection but on patience. It was a language of glances, of small gestures, of hearts beating in quiet harmony. In that companionship, she discovered her truest crown, the crown of belonging. Months passed. Her fur gleamed once more, but it was not her coat that made her radiant. It was the way she carried herself now, with quiet confidence, with warmth. In the park, children ran to greet her, their laughter filling the air. She wagged her tail, no longer afraid of touch, but welcoming it with joy. Her rescuer watched from a distance, pride swelling in his chest. She was no longer a forgotten shadow, no longer a discarded relic of beauty shows. She had become something greater. A friend, a symbol of resilience, a heart that had learned to trust again. Her dignity was no longer borrowed from ribbons or crowns. It was her own, forged through survival, sealed by love. She was not the poodle she used to be. She was something far more extraordinary. The sun dipped low, painting the sky with gold. By the lake, the rescuer walked beside his companion. The poodle's fur shimmered in the soft wind, not as a display, but as a testament of survival. She no longer sought applause. She no longer needed the validation of a crowd. Her journey had redefined beauty. True elegance was not the shine of perfection, but the courage to endure and the grace to love again. Every step she took was an echo of that truth. Her past did not chain her, it shaped her. From abandonment to grace, from despair to companionship, her story carried a message. Love transforms. Compassion heals. And every forgotten soul deserves a second chance. As the screen fades to black, her eyes linger in memory. Eyes that remind us all, beauty is fleeting, but kindness is eternal.